I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
There I am. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show. All my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. I can't forget that part there, but thank you so much. Welcome, everybody, to Let's Get Growing right here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. And we've got a really great show for you today. Another one of our Sunday roundtables today with some returning guests, returning Book of the Club month authors for a roundtable discussion this Sunday. We've got with us Ashlie Thomas, the Mocha Gardener, author of How to Become a Gardener, Christy Wilhelmi, garden nerd, and author of Garden Variety, which was the feature book that she wrote for our Book of the Month Club. But Christy also has a new book out too, as well. So we'll be talking about that as well here a little bit later on too. And yeah, lots and lots growing on here. Thank you all so much for joining with me. And if you can, real quick here at the top of the show, we all know the drill. Let's get those thumbs up, hit that like button real quick, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Share with all of your garden friends. Let them know about all of our upcoming uh, um, live streams here on the Let's Get Growing show with all of these great guests that we get to talk to here each and every year. And yeah, awesome. Big, huge shout out to all of you as well who join with us here on the replay. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us on the Let's Get Growing show and checking out these great conversations that we get to have with all these wonderful garden communicators all over the world. We're having such awesome conversations here. I can't say awesome enough, I guess, today, but that's how I feel about our show. So right now and today. So again, thank you for being here. And if you are here with us real quick, definitely jump into the chat. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you've got growing on. I want to hear from everybody who's in our audience viewing with us live today. Jump into that chat, say hi, introduce yourself if you haven't been in the chat before. We'd love to hear from you. And also, if you have any small channels or anything like that out there and you haven't had a shout out before, definitely mention that you have a small channel out there, and I'm sure our facilitator will get a shout out to you as well. And definitely get down below into the description. We've got all sorts of links down there to our urban gardener content elsewhere on social media, as well as some of our friends and contributors right here on the Urban Gardener. We've got a new one coming up here for everybody here in just a little bit here. We're going to get our newest contributor to the In the Garden segment here on the Sunday edition coming up here in just a little bit. And so all of you who are watching, you want to help support all of those who help make this such a great show, you know, whether it's the folks who are taking their time to contribute and be a part of the show, as well as those awesome guests that we get to talk to as well each and every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and like I said, I got it newly added 7 p.m. British Summer Time for all of you there in the UK or around that time zone. It's great to have you all here as well too. So again, thanks everybody for being here for our Sunday edition. Lots and lots growing on here in the gardens. I was touching on some things yesterday. I've got just we're planting out as much and everything as we possibly can right now. I've got the peppers; they've gotten hardened off now, so they've been getting planted out into the different spaces around the garden, and so that's again, I'm having a hard time with keeping on with certain things right now. But anyways, got all of the peppers starting to plant get planted out into all of the garden spaces around the garden. So if you're following along with all of our videos here on the Urban Gardener channel, I've been putting out our or what is my ultimate pepper growing guide, basically. And this is just what my process is, growing peppers throughout the whole gardening season. I've been wanting to do sort of a project like this where we're just kind of following along a growing of something in the garden. And just naturally for me, I guess, if it's going to be something I'm going to do for a project like this to follow through something throughout the whole gardening season, it's going to have to be peppers, because people know that I really enjoy growing peppers. They're one of my favorite things. It's the first thing I'm really getting to and growing and starting from seed after the new year gets started. It's how I'm getting my whole gardening season started, is through these peppers that I get started really early here indoors, and then I grow them through a few months up until our last frost date, and then we get them hardened off and out into the garden, which is what we just got done doing this last week. So that'll be in an upcoming video here in our peppers series. I've got a couple of more. We're working on editing those and getting those done. So again, you'll want to make sure that if you haven't checked out any of those videos yet, you'll want to go back and check them out. And again, it's a real fun series too. So it's starting all the way from seed at the very beginning, when I first was selecting out which varieties we were going to grow for the year, and then we were getting them sown out. We take you through all, like I said, the whole process from what I use for my own seed starting mix, to the lights we use in the light station, to how we're feeding and watering and doing all that sort of stuff. In fact, that's our upcoming video that I'm going to be talking about. It's going to cover a whole bunch of really cool stuff, because and I'll just give everybody a real hint up ahead of time. What we do is vermicomposting, a lot of just early feeding of just vermicompost teas that I make from our own worm bins and our own worm castings that we started producing here this last year. So I was running that experiment this last year in the garden. It worked really, really well. So that's we're going to be talking a lot more about that through our garden journals, and again, this next upcoming video for our pepper growing series. And then we're going to continue on and do some more. Like I said, we've got them planted out, so we'll be talking about transplanting. We'll be talking about the new soil mixes that we're using outdoors versus the soil mixes that we're using for our indoor part of the process. So we'll talk about that. We're even going to do some things that are even kind of new to me a little bit. I mean, newer in a sense. I did test out and try several years ago, kind of isolating pepper pods so that I could save some seeds. So we're going to talk about that, maybe even do and try to make one of our own crosses too, and isolate those and see what we can do and have some fun and experiment as well with some of the things and possibilities that we can do with peppers and growing those. So that's a good reason to, like I said, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and make sure that you're notified of all those upcoming videos when they're coming out, so you can keep following along with us through that whole process of growing peppers all the way until we're saving seeds and starting new plants again too. So that's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see how this whole playlist turns out. So far, I think we're into like 6 videos or so, and it's been great so far, and we still got lots more to talk about, like I said. So you'll definitely want to catch up with those videos as well too. So we got garden journals too coming up. I got a new garden journal, should be out for Tuesday. We're getting that one edited up and finished up. That should be out on Tuesday, and that's really going to kind of talk about a little bit what I was mentioning yesterday too. So yesterday and through last week, it's why it's going to be our more recent garden journal, because it's kind of what I was in the process of this last week and or last weekend actually. And I've mentioned on the show before a couple times this last week or two about how I messed up my tomatoes. And one of the things that everybody knows who follows along and watches is that I really always try to get a little good head start and get a little ahead when it comes to growing tomatoes and what we're doing there. But I messed up, man. I got them out. I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna get them out and get them hardened off early, ready to go, and then I was gonna transplant them and have them out in my little greenhouse I've got outdoors, and I was just gonna get them ready, right and ready for our last frost date. But a few weeks ago in that process, I had them out. We had some really sunny days that just kind of popped up, and I got busy doing a whole bunch of other things that I've got going on out there, all sorts of different projects and everything, and I literally forgot about them for like almost 2 days. And it was a really warm 2 days. They were just in the small little cell trays, and they dried right up and frizzled right up. It was the saddest sight ever. And I know that a lot of you gardeners have had a very similar experience when you come to and see something like that happen, and it just breaks your heart, knowing that now I got to start all over again. And so I did. I got a lot of my varieties that I had, some really good varieties that I had. I had this new one called Glacier that I was going to try, Sealits, and I do got still from those other ones that I'm going to still grow. I got these spoon tomato varieties that I got from actual tomatoes that I collected from the heirloom exposition when I was there last. So I'm growing those out. I've got the little starter plant still going of those. But yeah, we had a couple of really cool varieties I wanted to try out of some new seed that I had. And I'm still going to try those. They're just going to get a later start. So we're going to see a couple of those new varieties still. But the video and everything and what I'm talking about too is that our good friend Adam in the audience, viewer Adam, who we've seen on the show a couple of different times as well too, our moderator, he just lives right down the road from me up in Central Point here. I'm in Southern Oregon, and this kind of goes to say why it's good to have good local gardening community. You know what I mean? When we're talking about having good local gardening community, because you never know when someone's going to be able to jump in and come to the rescue. Adam heard me tell the story here on the show, talking about frying out my little tomato starts and everything. And he sent me an email and said, hey, I've got a bunch of these extra tomato plants that I've got all hardened off and all ready to go. All these different really cool varieties, some Brandywines, a couple of Cherokees, aroma variety, which will replace the paste tomato that I have and everything. A couple of other really cool ones. And Oregon, something I can't quite remember. I'm really looking forward to giving that one a try. I think there was, I think on his list, there was a Sweet 100, which I grew many, many years ago, and that was really good. So I'm kind of excited about getting to do that again. But yeah, he came to the rescue with all these really great new plants for me and everything. And now I'm not losing hardly any time at all. The plants are out in the garden now and getting going and everything. So, that's really great. And again, part of what I'm doing here is I'm talking about these upcoming garden journal video I'm going to put out and everything is about, the tomatoes and getting that and getting that rescue from our good friend Adam, because like I said, it's a good reason to have good local garden community around you. It's great that we all have each other here. This is such a fun gathering of us who get to gather here on our weekend show here Saturday and Sunday and talk all about gardening from all around the world. We're getting to hang out with each other, whether it's through the discussions that we have here with our great guests or all the discussions that you guys are having as viewers in our chat. It's great for all of us to get together and do all that sort of stuff. But what really, really is solid and really awesome for any gardener is to have good local gardening community around you. Get to know some local garden clubs, garden groups, and things like that, and go and meet some gardeners who might be just growing right down the road from you and all that, because they might rescue you sometime and help you out when it comes to some things or issues you might have in the garden, things that they might have dealt with. Again, too, they're going to know a lot. If you get some really experienced gardeners who are local around you, they're going to know a lot about some of those pest pressures you're dealing with, and they're going to have strategies that work for them and all of that they can share with you, and it's going to be really more localized optimized for those sort of things that you are really dealing with, plus, growing the varieties and things that grow really well in your area. And if you remember back to our conversation our conversation last week, we were talking about seed saving and landrace gardening. So if they've been saving seeds and things in their garden for years, and things that they're passing down and can hand to you for your garden, you're going to have some of the best seed and best varieties you can grow right there, because it's local again too. So really, we really want to emphasize getting out there and meeting those people, getting around into our garden communities, and to make those friendships with all of those great gardeners around us, and around our gardens, so that we can make sure that we've got a really great thriving garden. Because like I said, that's just really the way to go. And again too, you can have somebody come in and rescue you when it comes down to it, because they might have those extra plant starts that you might need, that you've messed up with, like I did with my tomatoes, those poor tomatoes. But anyways, like I said, we've got some great varieties. I'm going to, as we've got those other ones already planted out, like I said, these ones are just kind of trailing behind, so I've just transplanted them a little bit so they can grow out their root systems a little bit in the places in the garden where I've got them, along the alleyways. And these places, we've got a lot of other pressures right now, some things going on. So I just want to make sure that they're just a little bit bigger before I'm putting them out into those garden spaces. And that's what was really awesome about Adam's starts, was that nice and big and ready to go and get out there. And they're just going to be just thriving here as soon as those roots start catching on with the new ground that they're in. So I'm excited about seeing these new varieties, getting to grow those. So again, another good reason to follow along with our garden journals as well that we have. And like I said, we'll have a new one coming out Tuesday. I'm also working on another one coming out for the next week, as we're talking about the planting out of all of our other stuff as well too. So all of that sort of stuff to, again too, I get to talk about all this sort of stuff right here with you. And through those videos, you can actually go and see what I talk about and what I'm talking about, and see all of our plants, see all of our garden spaces, and all of these cool little spots and stuff as we get growing in them throughout the garden season. Like I said, we got some unique spaces, like I was mentioning with the peppers too. Another thing I'm looking forward to is just talking to my neighbor and owner about was resetting up our rooftop garden up on our carport. So I'm really looking forward to getting our pepper garden started back up. We're going to start small this year, get it going, just get a little one going. We'll start expanding out here as we get growing throughout the seasons, as we're back up there on the rooftop and doing some other things as well with it. I've got some ideas there to really maximize what we're going to do with that growing space, which is a really optimal space when it comes down to it. It's just right there. It's open. It's up above most everything and all your walls and all that sort of stuff. So it's getting some really good direct sun and everything for a lot of great plants can grow up on rooftops like that. So we're going to explore and talk about that more throughout the garden season coming up as well too. Again, lots and lots of things growing on here in the garden. Real quick, I want to jump in here, say hello to a few of you all here in the chat with us today. It's great to have you all here. And like I said, if you are new here in the viewing audience and you haven't joined into the conversation yet, I definitely encourage you to get in and jump in and let us know you're here. Let us know what you got growing on. And like I said, if you've got a small channel, one of the things that I really like that we're doing lately is, if you got a small channel and you want to shout out and get some support here, is that we love supporting everybody who are out there sharing in the gardening community. Let us know you got a small channel and all of that. And our good friend Jay Dixon, our facilitator of the show, she'll jump in and and get a link into the comments there so that everybody can get a link to your channel and go over there and maybe click on that subscribe button and help follow along with what you got growing on. So again, thanks, Jay, for being here. Thanks for joining us here from Ontario, Canada. Our facilitator, as I said, keep an eye out in the conversation as Jay will be dropping links in and just talking and helping bring more information to our conversation here on the show. And let's see who else we got. I know we had a little conversation before the show. Oh yeah, Bowtie was saying that he missed the show yesterday, but he's not going to miss today. As I was mentioning, today is David's premiere on our In the Garden segment. We're going to get to here in just a couple of minutes. I saw that MKP was here. I'm super busy with the garden. Yesterday, I drove 50 miles to get a truckload of compost. It's going to be a very hectic and enjoyable week. I know, I love it. Lots of work, hectic, but such fun work. And when we get to do things, like playing around in the soil and the compost and our gardens and plants and everything like that, that makes it even more enjoyable. I see that we've got our friend Rick joining us from the future, bright and early from tomorrow in Australia. Awesome to see you, Rick. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining with us. Let's see here. I'll run through this conversation here and see what we got, who we got in the conversation. Oh, it's always great to have, like I said, I've been really enjoying. We got a great conversation coming up here in just a little bit here for our feature roundtable conversation. Like I said, we've got returning guests, Christy Wilhelmi and Ashlie Thomas joining with us here in just a little bit here on the show. So really looking forward to this conversation. And so let's see here. Oh, I see we got Jersey Girl in the conversation as well. Thank you for joining with us. Great to have you here. And let's see. I saw Adam as well in the conversation. Adam, great to have you again. I've been talking about those tomatoes that you helped me out with. Thanks for saving the day. So awesome. So awesome. Let's see here. We got Shawnee Groves. Shawnee, awesome to see you. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for checking out the show today and this great conversation. I see we've got the English Ladies Kitchen Garden jumping in there too. Right on, everybody. It's really great to see you. I see we got old Cannabis Cowboy. All right. Awesome to have you back here with us today on the show. And Paul from Guten Gardening here too. Right on. Thank you, Paul. Great to see you. Renato. Excellent. Like I said, everybody, jump on into the conversation here. Let us know you're here. If you haven't, let us know where you're at, what you got growing on. Let us know. Again, like I said, if you got a channel or something too, maybe we do a shout out for you or something there. Dusty Flats as well too. Awesome. Great, everybody. And like I said, we've got a really awesome premiere today for our In the Garden segment. Really looking forward to this. So without further ado, like I said, we've been changing it up here a little bit on our Sunday edition of the show. It used to be mostly just our good friend Mark Roche Colbert, Mr. NBC, doing our In the Garden segment. But we decided we're going to kind of add a little bit more to it and switch it up a little bit. So we invited a couple of gardeners to contribute to that, to our In the Garden segment, along with our good friend Mark Roche Colbert, who's still going to be jumping in with us. He'll in fact have a segment for us next Sunday. And then of course, the third Sunday of the month, the Sunday after that, our monthly gardening book club where Mark's here with us live. But last Sunday, we got to check out Paul from Guten Garden, his garden there from our In the Garden segment. I get so many, I'm twisting my tongue here saying all of that. So this week we've got our good friend David from Bowtie Life. Let's check out what he's got growing on in the garden.
From the white sands of Florida's Panhandle to a backyard that believes in second chances. I'm Bowtie Dave, and this is my garden. It ain't perfect, but it's mine. Hi y'all, I'm Bowtie David, and I wear a bow tie almost every single day, even when I'm shoveling compost. Why? Because you deserve my best, even if that best is sweaty and covered in loofah fuzz. I started Bowtie Life to help new and overwhelmed gardeners see that joy doesn't come from perfect rows. It comes from planting something, anything, and watching it grow. Even pirates need compost. Bowtie Life is my YouTube channel, but really, it's the composted chaos of my brain. 1 part gardener, 1 part tinkerer, and maybe 12 parts committee of colorful personalities who all decide it was their turn to talk. It started with garden tours, then came the experiments, like when I tried to grow tomatoes in compost only. Spoiler, some of them liked it way too much. We do long-form walkthroughs, quick tips, deep dives, and a bit of straight-up goofing off, because sometimes the best thing you can grow in a garden is a laugh. We've built ongoing experiments like the mint container war, vertical green stalk trials, composting tests, and we document everything, even when it flops. One thing you'll notice is I do my garden tours in almost the same order every time. That's not just for you, that's for me. This is my journal, my memories, my gardening detective log. I've got ADHD, so if I don't document it, it disappears like the dew in July. I refer back to these all the time to figure out what I planted, when I planted it, or why on earth I thought the mailbox should be surrounded by mint. Every video is packed with indexed chapters and links. Want to see how the loofah looked in March? Or how about last year's pepper rebound? There's a link for that. Out front, we've got 1 lonely strawberry in the ground and a couple more in Mrs. Bowtie's green stalk. Speaking of Mrs. Bowtie's green stalk, I gave the Calibrachoa a little haircut. Not because they're not blooming, they're self-deadheading champs, but to keep them branching out and prep for their next flower flush. While I was at it, I topped off the soil in each pocket. That's one of green stalk's sneaky superpower. Topped off pockets help the mulch design of the green stalk work better. Now the flowers in the pollinator beds, they've decided it's showtime. Zinnias, Biden's alba, amaryllis, even the lavender's showing off like it's got something to prove. Now this is the first month of the okra beds showing off. You'd think these plants had a meeting and decided to grow together to make me look good. We've got young okra poking up like they're stretching after a long nap, and a fresh layer of compost straight from our own compost bins to keep them motivated. Up near the front, we've got pollinator beds buzzing like a diner at lunchtime. Walking onions are tipping over and planting themselves like a Union strike. The Egyptian walking onions have staged a full-on march, and the yarrow's flopping from the rain, but still does a good job feeding the good bugs. Our fig trees, both the potted rebel and the planted prince, are leafing out with purpose. Now the outer garden beds of the backyard, this is where the rule book gets composted. Out here, fruit trees and chaos co-parent the garden. The pomegranates blooming like they've got something to prove. And underneath, Everglades tomatoes are blooming like they just got cast in a Mission Impossible reboot. The blueberries on the shady side are ripening late, but rich. And just beyond that, the southern magnolia is holding court with a bloom that could qualify as a wedding dress. We've got pumpkins planted on faith and horse bedding, and a cathedral-shaped cantaloupe trellis, and peppermint that claims sovereignty over several entire grow bags. Add in passion fruit prisoners, volunteer tomatoes hiding in papyrus, and that rosemary bush that predates my memory, and you've got a wild west of gardening. Now in the raised beds, this is where I get hopeful, humbled, and sometimes hungry. I've got blackberries climbing a welded wire trellis like it's prepping for the Summer Olympics. And the tomatoes, we're seeing revival. After a tough start, they've bounced back and thick with new stems and even few flower buds peeking out. I've been rebuilding these beds with everything from kitchen scraps to horse bedding. If it rots, it gets a shot. Now the peppers, strategic and calculated. I swear they're planning a coup. But for now, they're fruiting quietly. And speaking of hot strategies, we just planted out 2 Thai hot peppers and 2 Dorset Nagos. Those Dorset Nagos, they clock in anywhere from 800,000 to 1.6 million on the Scoville scale. And that's not a pepper, that's a personal challenge. I have a policy. If I grow it, I have to try it. So yes, I will be eating one of these on camera for science, and possibly for your amusement. Mrs. Bowtie has already agreed to film, provide the milk, and maybe call the ambulance. That's if she feels like it. She said, and I quote, "You chose this, I'm just here for the content." In Zone 9B, mulch isn't optional. It's a survival mechanism. Bare soil, that's how the weeds win. Now, if you're wondering why a garden channel features pirates, snowmen, dangerously excited tiggers, Welcome to Bowtie Life. Sometimes I teach as Lincoln, and sometimes a single twitch from a bunny can say more than I can in a whole video. They're not just costumes, they're coping mechanisms. They lighten the load when the weeds seem endless. They help me teach, reflect, and laugh, and remind us all, your garden doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. Whether you came for tips, or just need to know your mess still matters, or just need a place where imperfect is perfectly okay, thank you for stopping by. This garden is full of second chances and composted mistakes. And if you want more, well, there's a seat saved for you in the Bowtie Bunch. Be sure to keep watching Enoch Graham's channel, The Urban Gardener. He's not just growing food, he's growing a community. So stick around for the interviews and the open calls, because they really matter. I'm Bowtie David. Thank you for letting me share a little bit of dirt and a whole lot of heart. And remember, your garden doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. Y'all have a blessed day. Once again, I start to record, and there it is. Aircraft. Start. Yeah, it is. This is 2 minutes past the helicopter that got us on the first shot. Fighter jets. Thank you for your service, U.S. Air Force. I appreciate what you do, but sometimes you'll ruin a shot.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits. Oh, here I thought I had that down and I messed it up anyways. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much to David from Bowtie Life in the Garden for his contribution to In the Garden this week. Really great to have him a part of our new revamped In the Garden segment, and we know it's going to be lots and lots of fun with David when it comes to seeing what he's got growing on in the garden on his weeks here on the Sunday edition. So really awesome to have him, really awesome to have Paul as well from Guten Garden. Like I said, check out their links down below in our description to their channels too, so you can go and support them over where you can go and catch most all of their videos besides just on our Sunday edition here. So definitely go and check them out and support what they've got growing on there. And also too, if you didn't get a chance yesterday to check out our show yesterday, we had a really wonderful fun conversation with really what a treasure of a gardener, definitely the treasure of the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Cisco Morris. Cisco is just so fun, just has a plethora of fun, entertaining gardening stories to share about his experience in the garden over the years. And then we also got to meet Aaron Garden Zaddy as well too on our Are You Following Me segment. So you want to go back and check out that show yesterday, as well as if you didn't get to check out last week's show, I mentioned earlier, we had a great conversation with Joseph Lofthouse, author of the book Land Race Gardening. We talked all about land race, seed saving, and all of that. Some really, really great information and some great knowledge from a great gardener who's really just experimenting and having some great fun with growing different things in his garden. And also we got to meet Brandy from the Suburban Gardenista as well for the Are You Following Me segment last week. Great conversation with her. You want to go back and check out those conversations, as well as last Sunday edition, we had a roundtable with our good friend Michael from the Garden Nerd, as well as I'm sorry, our friend Scott from New Garden Road. And we were asking, what does your garden say about you last week? So a real fun conversation with them as well, too. So you want to go back and check out those conversations, too. So again, here we are. It's Sunday again for another fun Sunday roundtable. We've got some really great guests for you here today. As I mentioned, a couple of returning book club authors. Again, if you haven't checked out our monthly gardening book club, you're going to want to check out our monthly gardening book club. That's on the third Sundays of the month. We've got a great one coming up. We'll talk about that just a little bit later here as well too. But if you haven't checked out our book club, we've got amazing authors each and every month. We're featuring a great book, and our two guests here with us today for our roundtable are returning authors with us. So without further ado, let's get this conversation started with our good friends for our gardening roundtable. All right. First up, let's welcome to our garden roundtable Ashlie Thomas, the Mocha Gardener. How are you doing here? And then I see Christy. I don't see her on video yet here. So let's get, we'll just wait a second here and see if we get Christy on video there. But awesome to have you here with us and back on the show again, Ashlie. Thank you for taking your time to be here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite. I'm glad to talk with y'all again.
Yeah. It's always great to have you here on the show. We've had some really wonderful conversations, like I've mentioned before, being a part of our monthly garden book club, talking about your wonderful book. In fact, I got right here. I'm going to show for everybody. We got Ashley's book right here, How to Become a Gardener, all still with all my tabs in it from all of our real in-depth going through this on our monthly garden book club. And I'm sure Jay will drop a link for us into the conversation there as well too, if you all want to go back and check out that conversation and talk, as we talked all about Ashley's wonderful book, How to Become a Gardener. Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome to have you back again. How things been growing for you lately?
Oh my gosh. So you know about the transition from
yeah
you guys have seen in the book and that I used to post about, but we actually moved and we're building our homestead from scratch. So that has been very interesting. Not only are we building a home, an actual house, Tyler, my husband's building that, but we're building the garden all the way from scratch. And it's really been interesting to kind of learn the land and how to grow in that new space. So, but I think it's a great learning experience.
Yeah. And you also get to kind of, really rework some of these real principles and things that you talk about and explain in your book, How to Become a Gardener, too, with this whole new space and whole new outlook and whole new, way of going about it and everything with this, so that just really is like I said, a way to kind of test your own thoughts and theories in a way too, right?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting to say that because I've actually had to reference my own book. And I know that sounds like a tooting of the horn.
Right. No,
Really going back to trying to envision a space that is a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to when we started our garden in 2019, back at our own home. And now it's just a bigger space, but it's like, man, how do I even begin? And I found myself going right back through my words, and of course, words of others and other authors that have, excellent resources. But like I said, it's really been a joy. Mark,
Mhm.
I do want to give him a shout out because he sent a game, and I couldn't get to it until open it up until we got through with the house and everything. But he sent a game that really helped me to kind of process my mind and getting because I was in like analysis paralysis, but I was able to kind of process through how to even begin and to start brainstorming.
Right. Isn't that a wonderful tool that he made? It's a creative way to do this. And again, too, everybody sees at the end of our In the Garden segment that we just did there, that the segment is sponsored by this Design Your Eden Garden card deck that Mark created. And it's fascinating. It is really cool and a great way to explore new spaces, for one, because it kind of gives you good ways to look at it. Real quick here, though, before we move on, I do see we've got her on video now. So let's welcome to our roundtable our good friend Christy Wilhelmi.
Hi there.
Over at Garden Nerd. Great to have you here with us, Christy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. And hi, Ashley. I haven't seen you since we recorded my podcast.
No, it's so good to see you. You look great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I was going to mention, you guys are already, this is kind of one of those times here. I've had it several times. We got the round table. I get to introduce people, but this time you guys already know each other. So that's really great.
Yeah, I interviewed Ashley for the Garden Nerd Tip of the Week podcast when your book first came out.
Right.
I can't even remember when that was, but it was love your book.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. As I was saying, we got a copy of Ashley's book right here, How to Become a Gardener, as well as, because like I said, Christy was on our monthly gardening book club for her book, Garden Variety.
Yeah, and I have a new one now too.
Exactly. So, well, we're going to mention that as well too, because let's see if I can't pull this up real quick here. I know I brought this in here to make sure that we had that. Oh,
there it is.
Gardening, high yield organic gardening, high yield small space organic gardening. Let me get that right. So we got to make sure we get that small space in there because that's important, especially for us around here on the Urban Gardener. We love our small spaces. So right on. Tell us actually a little bit there too, real quick, about that new book.
So it is the updated version of my old book, Gardening for Geeks, and it's got some new content, and it's basically about growing vegetables in small spaces, no matter whether you have a balcony or patio or a yard. And I'm always growing stuff as compactly as possible to make the best and, like the highest yields possible in the smallest space. So that's the rundown. And I added some new stuff, like some sample plant layouts, garden layouts, so you can learn the techniques that I teach. And mostly the newest things are like 10 best lists for kids, they said seniors, but it's really it's my perennial garden list, perennial vegetable list. So if you don't want to work as hard, you plant perennials.
That's right.
Do it. And then there's one for containers as well. So
yeah, that's perfect. That's great. I can't wait to get my copy and check it out as well too, though. So that's really awesome. And again, thank you guys both for joining with me here today for what's been really fun here on the show, is getting using our these little roundtable discussions on our Sunday show to bring back guests that we've had featured on our regular Saturday show to really kind of extend the conversation out a little bit more. And what we're doing now too with our last couple of roundtables is we're just, I'm not the best at thinking about what is a great subject or whatever. So I try to keep things mostly like an open conversation. So this really is an open conversation. We're just going to kind of start it off with the question, what brings you joy in the garden? So that's what we're going to utilize to get our conversation started here today. What brings you joy in the garden? And of course, as the host, I'll start off and let you guys know that what really brings me joy in the garden, really. For one is, of course, we all love just what we get to do, the tinkering and planting and doing all that sort of stuff in the garden. But I have a really public facing garden, basically. I grow in alleyways. So I've got people who walk their dogs. I have a neighbor actually here too. A little aside. I have a neighbor who walks his cat, and mind you, without a leash either. The cat walks and they go on a walk, and it's the same walk every day, and they follow each other, one or the other, and it's really great. But no, so I have this public facing garden, and so people are walking through all the time. I get my neighbors all the time, and that's, I think, what really is cool to me, because for one, I'm a talker. I love to talk. That's why I've got this show and everything. So to get to opportunity to meet my neighbors or other people who are walking through the community and checking things out and noticing my garden and stopping by and getting a chance to pull them in a little bit and conversate and talk about what we're growing, and even more so talk about how easy it is that they can even start growing their these sort of things themselves. And I'll always send off people with some seeds or something like that, or food if it's harvestable or whatever, But I think that's really, for me, what really brings me a lot of joy in the garden, because I know as everybody's leaving, or they're taking their seeds or some of the food, or maybe just some of the information or memory of just seeing these unique spaces or something, I see someone walking away and it just kind of makes me think like, wow, that was just really awesome to be able to share that, So I'll hand it off to you guys now about what brings you in joy in the garden, and we'll start with you, Ashlie. What brings you joy in the garden?
Sure thing. So one, I like finding new resources that makes gardening easier. Christy, I immediately purchased your book. So if you guys saw me looking down, I went to Amazon right away.
Also, real quick, for anybody else who wants to get books or anything like that, I do have copies. I think links to the new book in your book, Ashlie, down below, but also your websites are also down there too. I think you can find books through there too as well for everybody. So real quick, go ahead. Sorry.
Excellent. No, that's great. I love plugs because I wouldn't have known about this new book. So thank you so much for writing it. What brings me joy? I'm going to say, and this is going to sound like deep, but it's really not. Okay. I feel like I can be my full self in a garden. And when I say my full self, I can be funny, I can be analytical, I can be, calm, I can be happy, I will dance and listen to music. And there's times where I will listen to no music, but I can be all of the things that I am in this space. And I love that I get to watch life evolve. And it's really humbling because, I didn't create any of these things. I didn't create the seeds. I'm just literally nurturing everything. But to be able to be in this space of stewarding something into its full maturation, and then you get to harvest it and share it, and then bringing people into this space of I like to say it's like holy, right? It's a really divine space, a garden.
Yeah.
But being able to bring people into this space and seeing them also being able to be themselves, I think is incredible. And that's what brings me joy, is just being able to witness, growing something from seed or from a transplant, being able to harvest this nourishment that is going to feed me, that's also going to feed others. And then watching the community and the camaraderie that comes about, the space and bringing people in. So it sounds a little woo, but
no. That's perfect. That sounds great, there's always something like that, that's just unique to ourselves that we have that come out of that, and it's just great. How about for you, Christy? What brings you joy in the garden?
Yeah, I have to agree with Ashlie. The feeling of disappearing into the garden and just being there is one of the major stress relievers in my life, for sure, these days. I think those of us who are running our own business and, just having to, you are both producing social media content and, running the show and all, everything that you have to do to keep everything going in life. Just to check out and check in with the garden makes it really it just lowers my blood pressure a lot. So that's one thing.
Yes. So true.
So for me, two things though. And one is I am obsessed with growing new varieties of things, or I should say discovering new heirloom and open pollinated varieties in particular. Anytime I find something, especially if it's purple, I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'll grow it. That's happening for sure. If there's a new kale out there, I'm going to grow it. If there's a cool variety of, I don't know, I've got 4 different peppers I'm trying this year, a couple of new beans I'm trying this year. Keeps it exciting. So you can grow the same thing, you're tried and true, but I always recommend that you pick one new thing you can try and don't give up until you've tried it for at least 3 years. Cause that's sort of the failure point. You can try it for 3 years. And if it doesn't work for you, then maybe try a different variety. But I usually have good luck with it at one of those 3 years, and it'll like, okay, I can continue to try and grow this. And that's the kind of, I had a second thing. Now I can't think of it. That was my one thing. But
if you think about it at any time, you can jump in and let us know that you got that for sure. But no, I think that's great, and great advice too, in the sense of also in those sort of sense of like newer gardeners. We all want to grow a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But I would say, okay, grow a lot of stuff. Don't necessarily worry about all of this stuff, but kind of concentrate on maybe 1 or 2 things or something to make those the kind of the specialty of the season, and kind of carry that out. And then I like what you're saying though too, is try something new as well each season, but you've also got to give it a try for a while too, because that's like with everything else we start to learn from. We've got to kind of get the hang of growing them a little bit before we know if we've got it or not. But even those ones, I don't know, if you get really a good garden bug going on, right, it doesn't matter if you are failing at something. I think there becomes this determination. I'm going to get you. I'm going to grow you, you plant. I talked a lot about on yesterday's show with our good friend Cisco Morris, and his favorite, he talks about all the time that he grows in the garden is Brussels sprouts. And not a lot of people like Brussels sprouts, but he loves Brussels sprouts. It's part of his character. Everybody knows that he loves Brussels sprouts. But they're just a challenge.
Yeah. For here in coastal Southern California, they just don't do well. So I turn people off of Brussels sprouts. It's like, please try something else instead. Because here, I don't know about you, maybe where you're living, it's different. But for me, when I grow them, by the time they start actually making sprouts along the stem, they're full of aphids, and nothing I do will stop that. So it's just like, give it up. And although the one variety of Brussels sprouts that worked for me was called Rubine or Rubine. It's purple. So
the purple variety, huh?
Those
look good. I've got to try those too. I was thinking about them when you were saying that too, because purple varieties are great. But they're again just a challenge though. And it was one of those things is like, okay, well, I want to try this. I want to make this something new. In fact, this was all the way back when I was first starting my channel too. The first time I tried my challenge of like, this is gonna be my new one. I'm gonna really work on it. This Brussels sprouts. And I tried I'm still trying to this day to really get it down right. But I've had, as I mentioned yesterday, 2 good seasons where I actually had it work. My strategy worked because, like you said, the pest pressure is unbelievable. And because the big thing is that they need a really long growing season, and for places with warmer climates like we have for the summer, it's hard because we really got to start those early on during the spring to let them grow, but you got to get them to survive that summertime. And they don't like the heat, so they're going to kind of they're going to go, start growing really slowly once it starts warming up, and then that's going to attract the pest pressure. So if you could defeat those 2 challenges during the summertime and keep them alive enough that when it starts cooling off in the cool season, they'll just start taking off and really growing well for me. And 2, you still got to keep spraying them and doing everything because aphids are nonstop with those things. They just love them.
Yeah.
And as Cisco said too, if that's an issue too with them and you got nice big ones on there, just use some salt water. Soak those Brussels sprouts in some salt water and they'll be good to go anyways.
So you guys are encouraging me to try them again. Here in North Carolina, it gets hot so fast. So our window of spring, it goes from freezing cold weather all the way to just hot 85 degrees. And we really don't get that, milder temperatures. That's like ideal 60, 70 for very long. So, maybe I love Brussels sprouts. I will get them from someone else, another farmer.
Yeah. I got the one season I got a netting, so I'd put a netting over them and then I used a shade cloth the last time I had success with them. So for one, netting and some shade cloth, but you still got to get in there because ants will find a way to get in there somehow with those aphids.
Yeah, they're just farming.
And they'll figure a way. And I've had it all on there and get in there. I'm like, how'd you get in here anyways? But it keeps a lot of the other stuff that's going to get off of there, and you just got to keep on there and wash them off and be on top of them. But they are a tough one. They're a tough one. It's a challenge. That's just when it comes down to it. There's some places, and I've seen some people grow them like they're nothing, though. Like it's no big deal. These big, massive stalks with these like Brussels sprouts as big as baseballs almost. But
I barter with
not in my garden.
I barter with those people. I'm like, hey, I'll do something that grows really well here, and I'll get something from them. Christy, you were mentioning something about just trying different varieties, and it reminded me of different folks that I come across and that'll come into my space and say, oh, I hate kale. Like it's so hard and so crunchy. And I'm like, when you're saying kale, what do you say? Like what type of kale? It's just so curly. And I'm like, oh, it reminds me like, a lot of folks only get that crunchy, hard, tasteless kale sometimes that you see in kind of these bigger box store supermarkets. But then there's a whole world, and I'm like, try Red Russian, try Purple Moon, try Thousand Head Kale. And these are things that I grow every single year in my garden, and those are staples. So once they try the sweetness of the Red Russian or the Purple Moon, because I'm a purple person too, as soon as I see purple or colors, I'm like, oh my gosh, get into this garden right now.
Yeah.
But to open their eyes to the different varieties, it's amazing what that does. And just to see people like, oh my gosh, this tastes amazing. And they start to envision how they can prepare it. So you're spot on with, if you don't like one variety, explore some other varieties that you could maybe grow.
Yeah. And I will add to yours because I grow all of the ones that you mentioned. And Siberian kale varieties are wonderful because they're more tender and they're not as curly. They have a curl to them, so they still hold sauces and things, but they're, I love Hanover. There's one called Marrow Stem that is more like a Troncuda Beira, which is a Portuguese kale. It's really a collard. Let's just say that. But certainly Moon, what was the one? Blue Moon?
Purple Moon.
Purple Moon is so awesome. But the Siberians, I love True Siberian and Dwarf Siberian and Hanover, and those all are, they're wonderful. And I turned my brother onto kale because he was like, kale's tough. I don't like it. I'm like, grow Siberian. And now he's a fan. So
Siberian, it's a goodie. Oh, you have to have a Siberian in your garden.
Totally. Yeah. And I just picked some 1,000 head kale this morning. So it's funny you should mention that. How big do your leaves get? Because they haven't gotten as big as the picture in my garden.
Maybe that's a picture I should have shared with you guys, because our 1,000 head kale got to about 6 feet tall. The leaves were massive. So
wow.
About 2 leaves and make dinner for everyone with the 2 leaves. So I think there are some seed catalogs, I'm not going to throw any names, but there are some seed catalogs that have pictures of these massive leaves, and you're like, oh my gosh. But
they're like,
they're gigantic. So give them their space. And just let it do its thing. Sometimes you might have to trellis it if it's not growing deep, but it gets very heavy and very bushy. So it almost reminds me of like a tree collard. And they have the texture of a collard if you grow it through the fall and into the winter, and it's got that nice sweet flavor that these leafy greens typically do in the colder weather. So I'm a fan of 1,000 head kale. It's a very dramatic plant, but it is the gift that keeps on giving. And like a little bit. 'Cause 2 leaves go a long way.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my chickens like them too. I give it to the hens. They
There
love
you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. And Chrissy, you were mentioning too in that you're talking about, choosing new varieties or new things to grow or whatever. What are some things that you've got new growing in your garden this year?
So I got some Alabama black, not black-eyed, but black
Oh,
lima beans.
seeds. Yeah.
I'm excited about those. I have them. I
Wow.
planted, I had 8 seeds and I planted 6 and 3 of them came up so far. I'm waiting on the others and I'm going to go reseed. So this will be my first time growing. I love lima beans. I have
Yeah.
Henderson's bush growing out here and I've grown Carolina Siva pole version. So this is my 3rd different lima bean. Oh no, Christmas lima beans also very good. So I'm trying those. We'll see what happens. And I'm also gonna grow. I have seeds in the ground for 2 different kinds of yard long beans. Last year the red pod didn't do as well, so I'm giving it. This is my 2nd year trying to grow the red podded yard long beans because those, like 1,000-head kale, one or 2 beans is a side dish. You don't need many because they grow 3 feet long. Very cool stuff.
That's awesome. Those
I'm
sound
excited.
good. I want to try those too. Those sound great. How about for you,
What were
Ashlie?
you saying, Ashlie?
I said I got excited because I haven't heard anyone else talk about those lima beans except for you. And I'm growing them at the same time for the first time this season as well. So I was super excited. They're like this. It's like a black-eyed pea lima bean. It's so interesting. But
that sounds really interesting. I would love to see. I would love to grow something like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of a lima bean, but I'm not opposed to them either.
I'm going to tell you, they are so different between fresh and dry. They have completely different flavors. And particularly Christmas lima beans, when they're dry and you cook them up, not only are they gorgeous and they get gigantic, but they're just this savory chestnut flavor. They're so unusual. And I love making soups and stews with those.
I'm going to have to look into the chestnut. You said not chestnut. It's the Christmas lima bean.
Christmas lima bean.
I'm going to look into it.
They're gorgeous. If you ever read or have seen the cover of Barbara Kingsolver's book, Animal Vegetable Miracle, the hands in the picture are holding Christmas lima beans. That's what drew me to it the first time.
Oh,
so.
Very cool.
Like, I got to get those.
They're good.
And they turned out to be wonderful too then.
They're like a semi-perennial. I had one stalk. It got 4 inches in diameter. It lasted 1.5 years before I had to dig it out, and I broke my digging fork trying to dig it out. So it's like a perennial vegetable crop. Okay. Yeah, so it keeps on giving. If you will find a spot for it that you don't need the space back, it'll just keep on giving.
Excellent.
Oh, wow.
Definitely adding that to my wish list.
Okay.
2 other things that I'm growing this year that I'm really fascinated about are it's a snake bean. The snake beans, they're actually like a gourd. So apparently you can cook it like zucchini. So I'm really fascinated to try this. And okay, y'all know I love okra, and it's very simple. Okra and collards. It's very cultural. It's very historical. It's
some purple okra.
I got this okra called a Burmese. I know, I'm like so excited. I got this okra called a Burmese okra. And supposedly it's, I don't mind the slime and stuff of okra, but it's got less of that sliminess that, Clemson or your that burgundy okra would have. And it grows, about 9 inches long, and it doesn't get very hard. So I think that that's fascinating because, man, that's a game changer. I just gotta, I'm watching them now, doing everything I can, and prepping this new garden space is a whole different story. I'm going to talk about those challenges with folks, soon, but it's, we're growing in ground, and I'm just watching these things, and I'm like, I can't wait to try this Burmese okra, the snake beans, and these Alabama black-eyed, I don't even know what to call them, Alabama black-eyed lima beans, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like butter bean, lima bean. They're
Yeah.
interchangeable. I
And I
think
think
lima
they're calling
bean.
them butterbean as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're
Mm.
calling them a butterbean. So it's all of the stuff in that
Yeah.
title.
Yeah.
And my mouth started watering. And my mouth is watering even thinking about it. So,
It's not hard to do when you're talking about all these wonderful things. I got to try some of those beans though too as well. That sounds really awesome too. Is I'm trying to put more varieties of those in my gardens as we're moving forward and stuff. It's something I have only done a few regular ones that I really like, and I eat mostly, but I want to experiment around with them and try some new ones as well too. So that would be a great one to put on the list. New thing for me though that I've got growing in my garden, not necessarily new in a sense that I haven't. I tried years ago. Someone gave me like a little grape start for a grape plant. Can't even remember what kind of variety it was years ago. And I tried putting it in. I think I put it in the wrong spot. Probably did something with it and it didn't work out. But I got another really cool, it's called Blueberry Grape from Dave Wilson Nursery that I got from our sponsor. It just looks really awesome. They say it's a really delicious one, and I haven't really ever grown grapes before. So I got this one out. I was out just planting the plant out, getting it out and everything yesterday, and working out how I'm gonna get the vines all to work out along this fence and everything like that. So I'm really kind of excited about growing my first grapes this year too. So hopefully I'll get some this year. If not, we'll hopefully have it at least well established enough so that in the coming years for sure. But that's really exciting for me right now. I love grapes, and just the way they describe the flavor of these blueberry grapes that they got there. I'm really excited about seeing how those turn out.
Very cool. I'm planning on planting a passion fruit out front. Ashlie, I'm dying to know how much space. I mean, I heard that you bought a new land, you have new land that you're figuring out where everything's going to go. On the smallest of scales, we recovered some space in our front yard because, long story short, new construction next door, they put up a fence, so we no longer needed some hedges there. So I tore all those out, and I'm going to put passion fruit on that so that both our houses can share the harvest. But how are you, Ashlie? How are you utilizing? I'm totally taking over. Sorry,
that's all right.
I'm dying to know what you're doing with
I love it. Believe me.
with your space. What are you doing with it?
Yeah. So, so much. Man, I wish that I started the YouTube for like when we were developing the land. There's so much to figure out. And so we're growing now on less than an acre, but the full garden space will be about an acre. It's just going to be like a force of things. So not everything, we're not going to have beds everywhere, but more just, I want it to be like a preserve. Yeah. And I don't want to disrupt the forest that was there too much. But I am currently thinking, like trying to develop out a space for an arbor for grapes. So here in North Carolina and in the Carolinas, we grow something called muscadines and scupperdogs. Oh my gosh. We've got to get you a muscadine because they're delicious and sweet, and they're huge and dark, and I could talk about them forever. But we're going to be clearing out some space to bring in those grapes, the blueberry bushes. And I know that these things can take over. I grew up in the South, and I've seen grape bushes and grapevines take over. And so I know that the key to kind of making sure that it's manageable is keep cutting it back into a nice shape that you can actually keep it. I'm excited about the passion fruit for you. Passion fruit passion fruit. It's so delicious. And it's one of those things that's the gift that keeps on giving as well. So I am going to be, I'm kind of looking into more conservation, kind of regenerative practices, but at the same time, I'm very mindful of trying to just bring in too many inputs. I know that the garden that we have right now, it's bigger than the garden we had in Graham, but everything is in ground because we made it to be temporary. So at the end of, once we're done building and we can kind of figure out what our permanent, aesthetic is going to be, then that's when we will work with that. But yeah, y'all, we have so many creatures, so much wildlife. A deer was like staring at my garden, and I was like, it would be by the grace of God if we have something to harvest.
Oh my.
Season. So lots of bobcats and raccoons and all of those things.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got it for real.
That will be a big challenge, dealing with the wildlife when you're living in more of a wider open space like that too, because they're going to be on the hunt, and your garden's going to be perfect for them. So that'll be a target for a while. So I feel for you there. I don't have to worry about that too much being in the city like that, but I still got my predators and my things that like to come around and snag stuff and do stuff anyways. So we all have them wherever we're at anyways when it comes down to it. Real quick here, though, I did want to jump back here. There was a question that jumped in. Val asked, how much room do I need to grow lima beans?
Well, I can say with my space, I have them across the back edge of a 4x4 raised bed, and they're going to grow up a trellis. So the trellis is 7 feet tall at least. They'll grow to the top of that, and they'll curve down and come back up. So that's how much space I'm giving to them. Ashlie, where are you growing yours?
Yeah, so I've got mine in a row on a bed. So we kind of did the 3 sisters method, have the corn, but I don't want them to really utilize the corn as a trellis because of our situation, like how, just how everything is arranged. So we're bringing in a trellis. It's going to be about 6 feet. And we're just going to have to, bring it back over the trellis to help it grow. Beans will grow for as much space as you can give them, they will grow that, especially the pole beans. And what I'm seeing is these beans are starting to put out tendrils, and they're looking for stabilization. So after this, I'm going to be putting out trellises for everything.
Are lima bean varieties a vining type of plant, or do they have bushing lima beans?
Mm-hmm. Yep, there are both. So Carolina Siva are pole varieties. The Alabama Black are a pole variety. The Hendersons are a bush variety.
Yep.
And I in the bush category, I planted an entire 4x4 raised bed with them because I'm growing them for dry storage. So I want to get as much as I can out of that crop. And I actually did a video on how to plant it biointensively using the Grow Biointensive method. So it's on hexagonal. I'm going to nerd alert. Hexagonal spacing, 6 inches, 6-inch centers, and then you can fill a whole bed with them that way.
Love it.
Wow. Yeah.
And
great,
you'll get
great.
many jars of beans from that.
Many jars.
It's exciting.
Definitely. Yeah, excellent. And let's see here. Also, I think we had a question about would half an acre feed a family of 5 or 6? Do either of you is that something you're thinking about, Ashlie, over there?
Wish I had half an acre.
Gosh, half an acre is a blessing. Most people don't even have a quarter of an acre, and they're feeding, communities. And so I think, that's where you can really learn a lot from. Christy, I think your new book, your previous book talks about growing intensively, being able to max or optimize your space to actually grow more food, especially if that's your goal. You can easily do that. So half an acre, oh my gosh, you can feed probably 20 people from.
Yeah, I'm already picturing like what I would do with half an acre,
I know
so much fruit trees along the north edge, and then beds and planters.
The
and
whole
all that.
neighborhood, the whole community is getting fed.
Yeah, for sure. and can and preserve and fry, dehydrate and freeze. Right. Those are you've got to do that so that when it's not growing in the garden, you've got it later. I'm still using pesto from the frozen jars I have from last year. So
right.
Waiting for my basil to sprout right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Exciting. Yeah, it's definitely something I've got to work more on myself, is preserving and working those sort of things. You know, whether I freeze a lot of stuff because I haven't really figured out canning too much yet, but that's really like a project for me. I've got to figure that out. You know, I just to know for sure like how to make sure I can do it without killing myself.
Yeah, get a book. I mean, I'm actually reviewing a book right now that's called. I'm gonna give her a plug before I even review the. It's called The Modern. Oh, geez, let me find it.
No,
Just a
it's all
sec.
right.
I
Absolutely.
have to find it. It's she's written another. She wrote a cookbook,
Mm,
but now this is a canning book, and it is called The Modern Pioneer Pantry. And forgive me for not remembering her name, but I'm going to write a blog about it. I'm reading it right now, and it's all about preserving in any way possible. So
okay.
water bath canning, pressure canning, freezing, dehydrating, and you know, all the ways. And basically, if you follow a cookbook that has been with recipes that are certified by the whatever the canning organization is, that you won't kill yourself, you won't grow botulism
Yeah.
in your in your jars. Very
Well, we're
important.
laughing, but it's so
It's true
so many
though.
folks are
It's a risk for sure.
to trying to understand how to preserve food, especially fresh produce, and having an understanding of how microorganisms work is very
Mhm.
important. And you don't have to get into the technicalities and nerd out, but to just understand how to eat and how to save things safely. It's a life or death thing, and I would
Yeah.
hate for people to experience botulism or something that could have been prevented.
Yes,
So I'm going to check
absolutely.
out that
Well,
book. I can't wait till it comes out.
Yeah,
Yay.
I think
yeah.
it comes out at the end of this month or mid-month, I forget. But I have a review copy that I'm tearing through right now. It's pretty thorough, I have to say.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll definitely have to check that out too, as I'm exploring and adventuring into more preserving as well too. I'm one of those guys though too that I just can't get enough. I can really when the season's really at its height for me, I can just really almost feed myself almost every day just walking through the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just eat it. Just eat it all.
Just eating as I
leave no
go,
trace.
trying this, try a little of that, take some of this, do that. And by the time I leave the garden space in the afternoon, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I got room for dinner now.
That's me with the fruits. And when
Hmm.
we used to have like sugar snap peas, so I would
Yeah.
just nibble off of sugar snap peas, off of green beans, and we had okra growing, so I would just cut them off, and you could really just spend like a day snacking. And I didn't really go inside for a full meal because you snack on so many things, and even the leafy greens, snacking on
Yeah.
those as well. It's just wonderful. But we've got the fruits. Oh my gosh. Can't
Oh,
wait
the
to put
fruit.
down the fruit trees. And
Yeah. See, you got to
figure out
get
how to.
those in good.
Yeah,
What fruits are you planning for?
yeah. So we've got a lot of fruit trees, and I got to tell y'all a secret. Is this a safe
This-
space?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No, we got you here. We
You're
got
among
you here.
friends,
This,
Ashlie. Go
this
for
is
it.
Thank you.
it.
My thing, I just have like this thing. I always have to buy fruit trees, and I've been doing this for years. So I have a collection of about 40 different fruit trees.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
my
You're
God.
gonna like, Ashley, where are you going to put that? And I had to think this through, but we've got apples and pomegranates that can
Mm,
grow here. That is
yeah.
cherries and peaches and almond trees, chestnuts, and I mean plums. And these are things that I was thinking kind of in the future, like one day, I'm going to have
Yeah.
to do this. A little crazy. Don't do what I
You're
did, but
definitely gonna need that book Christy was recommending if that's
yeah,
what you got
I,
going on there.
I know the whole
That's a
canning
lot.
stuff. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so good. That's a lot of stuff to be preserving for sure.
Fruit Trees Anonymous.
But
I'm reading.
yummy,
That's right.
yummy.
Yeah, you might need an intervention, Ashley,
I
with 40
probably
fruit
do.
trees.
But
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm done officially.
yeah,
At some point you've got to stop, and I have to look at myself in the mirror and say, stop this madness
yeah.
right now. So
Yeah, there's some great fruit tree guys over there too. I was thinking of when you were talking about that too. Like Farmer Greg Peterson's a great guy. He loves fruit trees. He just moved over and he's actually through a process of transitioning, living over in that area too from Arizona and everything. So he's growing new stuff as well, right in the same area as you, but he's a huge fruit tree person as well. And Josh over at Plant Techie, he has a huge orchard and grows tons of all that sort of stuff like you. He just goes crazy with his fruit trees too. So you probably get along with him really well too. So you probably should check those out for some good advice on some of those new trees you got there for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I wish I had space for all of that. I mean, I'm a small space guy, urban guy. I got, alleyways, I got containers, and I got my fruit trees in that. So I've got a couple of apples. I've got, we'll have a couple of pears here real soon as I'm getting ready to set up another one. I've got a couple of figs and a peach tree. And we're going to do our first in-ground tree as my owner's going to let us put our first in-ground peach tree in on the side of the alleyway there too. So that's really fun as far as fruit trees for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Something you said earlier, Ashlie, about okra, because you're a big fan. I don't know if you've heard of Chris Smith. He's
yes, Utopian.
He works. I don't know if he still does. He worked for So True Seed out there in North Carolina, and he has a book called The Whole Okra, and he trialed 90 different varieties of okra.
They did the ultra cross okra. I did that. I grew that at the previous property.
Wow.
Incredible what came about in the F2 generation. Very fascinating. Fan of his work. And they also kind of did this project similarly with collards too.
The Heirloom Collards project.
That's right.
That I have my eye on a few purple colored varieties there. Like every once in a while I check and see if seeds are available. I'm like, I have to get those. Like,
I'm gonna have to check those books out for sure.
Yeah, the whole okra. And he's also like making rope from the cordage of the stem of okra and stuff like that. So
wow.
He's all about using all the parts and making liqueurs from the seeds and the pods and various things. Yeah, fancy. Just saying. Check it out. The whole
There's okra. A lot you can do with an okra, huh?
Well, the Experimental Farm Network is what they're kind of associated with. They do all of that fun stuff. So if you really want to nerd out on, plant stuff and how cultivars are, created and just the works that they're doing, even more in terms of just preservation of heirloom varieties, Experimental Farm Network. That's where I got the ultra cross okra from. And I wish I misplaced the seeds, so I need to get some more. But it's okay. It's fairly easy to get to. I've got some friends that have seeds as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Great advice. Great resources as well too for all of that as well. Let's see here. What else we got growing on in your gardens this year? Anything anything special or new or we kind of covered some new stuff already, but what are some of your other favorites, things that you just love growing in the garden that you do every single year? It's just some things that are a mainstay for you that you just have to grow every year.
Well, we have our tomatoes in.
Absolutely.
I have a new raised bed. I did a container conversion to some Vigo gardens and left space to plant some tomatoes in there because they always do really well in that brand new soil. So I've got I think 6, 8, and 8, 16, 22 tomatoes growing in different garden spaces around here. So, and I'm always I'm really excited about Napa Chardonnay, which is my new favorite cherry, and Russian Queen, which is a stripy paste tomato that is also good as a slicer, to be honest. I'm I am, there are some people who don't like paste tomatoes because they're trying to slice them up and put them on sandwiches, and they're like, they're mealy. I'm like, no, they're just not for that.
Yeah.
But this Russian Queen totally works on sandwiches and is a paste tomato. Low moisture, but very good.
Huh?
Russian Queen, gorgeous, beautiful, grows,
right now.
lovely. So we're fully into tomatoes. They're starting to flower out there, and that's we could talk about that forever.
You're all the way at flowering stages.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm just getting mine in the ground this last week, as we just passed our last frost date up here, and the soil temperatures have finally kind of got just right. So I got them in this last week. So
our tomatoes are in as well. Our tomatoes are in as well. Yeah, they're flowering, doing all of the stuff that you mentioned.
Man.
We're growing something called Queen of the Night, just some really cool stuff. Woolly Kate. I like you said.
Wow, those are a couple of names I haven't heard before.
Colors, the colorful stuff, right? And of course, you can kind of correlate those colors to nutritional, facts and certain nutrients that is really cool to kind of consume. Like I will say, I'm talking about all of these things and all the potential of the land, but I just feel like I have to talk about the challenges as well. Is that an appropriate thing to talk about right now?
Totally.
No, it's absolutely appropriate. Absolutely. I love it. Definitely.
I think it's easy to think like, oh my gosh, we've got all of this space and it's wonderful. It's a blessing. But with developing, developing raw land, that comes with so much that you have to, do to get it to functioning and habitable for all of the things that we're doing. And so right now we've got this, I kind of mentioned it on social media. We have clay, red clay.
Ooh.
And it's got, a bit of sand rock in it. And that's where I'm growing right now. But I am, even though it's like, oh boy, this is going to be a challenge, we're amending it with compost to bring it to that medium where it's loose and it's got a bit more structure where it's not just too tight. But it's going to take time. And I'm so appreciative for this journey because it's rough. And I want to be very honest with folks that, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are harvesting already. I'm like, yeah, but I want to talk about how we're building a foundation, which is the soil. The soil is everything, and it's going to take time for us. And I don't know if everything's going to fruit and produce as productively as we did in Graham, because this is new and it's a new foundation that we've got to cultivate a bit more. But I'm enjoying the journey and learning how to really work with this hard red clay. It's gorgeous, fertile, very nutrient dense, but my goodness, I mean, if you throw a piece of that clay, you're gonna clock someone in the head or something.
Oh my!
Been the challenge for us, along with so much rain. So this water kind of pools, and even if we've got like 6 inches that's been amended with compost, under that is kind of still hard clay, so it's pooling at the bottom right here. And over time we hope to kind of break through that layer of hard clay so that it's truly permeable for rainwater to just kind of seep through. So there's a lot of work that we've got to do in terms of developing the land aspect so that our garden can be optimal even more over time.
Yeah, you're definitely right on target though, because it's really, that's your first focus really in a new space is, what am I doing to care for the soil? First, I want to know what the composition is, maybe get a good soil test to see what you're working with to begin with, and also, get some advice from some folks who are local too, or dealing with that same clay issue in their soil and what they're doing over time to take care of all of that as well too. But it really does come down to the soil first, though. That's what our most essential thing to our plants that we're looking to harvest from, so that's got to be our first focus in a new space, right, Christy?
Yeah, absolutely. When we had well, I've been in this house for almost 20 years, 18 years. And when we first moved in, there was pooling all over the yard. And we put down, well, the contractor was like, we need to put in a French drain. And so we put in a French drain and we still had pooling. And I said, now can we put down 5 inches of mulch? And we did. And 6 months later, we didn't have any flooding or pooling happening. So it's the, the microbial life in the soil was feeding
that quickly
on
of
the
a
chip bark.
breakdown, though.
Yeah,
that quickly of a breakdown. That's amazing.
It was pretty good. I mean, thick layer of mulch, like that.
Yeah.
And chip bark that was from the free chip delivery system, chip drop. Yes.
Chip drop.
Yeah, and we made sure all of our trash cans were empty because those have wheels and they hold 90 gallons and you can wheel those. We fill them up out in the driveway and then wheel them back, dump them over. And one of us was out there spreading it around with a rake, and it lasted for like 2 years before we had to add more mulch. It was really a great investment of time and labor. And it changed the soil so that we could actually dig. I mean, it would dig like butter after that. So it was pretty cool. And I know I've seen that red clay soil. That's going to take some work, but
no, you're right. You're spot on. The wood chips is what helps to break that down and to bring it into that more, bring in that more organic matter. So
yes, it's a fungal food. The fungi help feed on it, and then they're drilling tunnels in the soil for you as they're bringing it down. It's all good. Can't go wrong with that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I have sandy soil at my community garden, so you can put compost in it until you're blue in the face, and it's still not enough. Like it still drains every day. We have to go over there and water because it's still draining out, but.
Wow.
I have both ends of the spectrum there.
Same.
That's wild. Yeah. And so even through like your garden beds at your community garden, so that you're putting compost on, but the sand is kind of working its way back.
It's just
wow. That's crazy, huh?
A lot. I mean, it was prehistorically
I hear that
speaking.
From Florida gardeners too.
It was a sand dune. It was a pure sand. And we can see the ocean from where we are. It's far off in the distance, it's about 5 miles away, but it's still a sand dune. And so, I've been at that garden for 25 years, 26 years, something like that. And I'm adding compost to it every year and it still drains really, really well. I'll just say that. So Ashlie, you mentioned that it's a process and that this is part of gardening is that process, and we have to be patient, and nature always wins. So we work with nature and do what we can.
And it's best to do that. And I think even from my book, because I looked at this and I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? I don't want to bring in raised beds because I don't know where to orient things right now, but we just want to grow and I want to start amending this soil. And so, me being a gardener, of course, I went bigger than I needed to.
Yes.
That we're focusing on the soil. And I started to think, even back to my own book and some of the concepts of just being patient, right? Everything is not going to happen overnight. Respect and observe what's going on in the land, right? This land is there way longer than me. And here I am coming in saying, oh no, you're not working for me. Like, I just think it's so arrogant. And so there's some humility in realizing, like, take your time. This is not a marathon. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Yeah. And it's going to take time for me to learn all of the, and I'm still not going to know all of the organisms, but to learn what is the soil like? And I find it really beautiful to just be able to, find new pests that I didn't really encounter. And I'm like, wow, you really love my corn. Okay. Wow, you really love my broccoli. But it's like, I'm learning what's there. And so often we're thinking about the outcome. We're thinking about the fruits before we think about the journey. And I'm really, trying to, remind myself to take pleasure in this journey. And then when we get the fruits, that's just the cherry on top. But there's so much lesson and so much to gain from, even in the in-between.
Yeah, I think that's really a great point that you make there too. And here we're looking at a real diversity in garden types from your bigger land to a smaller space. But in any of those spaces, we should be looking for a more natural nature perspective to what we're doing in our gardens versus what you're describing, this like anthropocentric viewpoint of what our spaces are and how do we control them, and this is that and sort of thing. I mean, there's a little bit to all of that in gardening, but ultimately we should be looking at what nature requires for one, and sometimes that's going to, for one, like your clay soil, and to really grow in that's going to take time. And what you said, you got to be patient too. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, here's a big thing is that, some of the new gardeners or new gardens and stuff getting started with new spaces, you can't really expect those spaces to be performing as well in those first year, maybe a little better the second. But man, when you get working and you keep working those spaces and doing those things to amend your soils with the mulches and keep that stuff going, you're going to get into year 3 and 4 and be looking at some amazing stuff, when it comes down to it. So really, patience is a big, big key to new spaces of gardening, and also really small spaces in container gardening too as well, right, Christy? Because we're also dealing with kind of new soil all the time in a way, because containers kind of, as you're moving things around and bringing new things in and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes you got to be just a little bit more patient on that level as well.
Yeah, and you have to be more attentive with containers too, because they can't drill down into deep soil for minerals or anything.
Exactly.
It's a completely artificial environment where they're relying entirely on us for everything they need. So we have to give them food more often, water more often, and check on them, make sure they're okay. Because I know a lot of people are used to putting plants in the ground and forgetting about them. And if you get rain year round, great, that's wonderful. But here where I live, where you get 9 inches of rain or less, it's a challenge. So you have to be on it.
Yep.
So they're your
Yeah.
babies.
That's right. That's right. And going back to what you're saying, Ashlie, though, too, is that gardening presents challenges, and that's just kind of our journey as gardeners, is tackling those challenges that are, that they present to us each season. Some of them are new challenges that we haven't faced before in that same space. Sometimes it's, just again, in your case, just all of this new stuff that you've got to kind of deal with as you're starting to establish the space here. So again, it's just embrace the challenges, right?
Right. You have no choice but to, right? So don't fight it. Like, I mean, if you're going to go down this journey, it's a matter of like, what attitude do you want to have? If you're set on, I want to grow things, go in it with a bit of humility and with a good attitude, and that, hey, listen, we might not win this season, but if I could grow one okra, if I could, my kale's doing good, so that's great. Count those are wins, right? And I talked about this before, how social media has sometimes, and I think people are starting to realize, like, social media is not real all the time. But social media will have us imagining and dreaming for more, when you don't need more. It's by, I'm thankful that we got, the acreage that we did, but we're not utilizing that full acreage. We didn't clear it, and we don't, we want to keep it forested, and we want to preserve it, keep the butterflies, and keep all of the animals. I don't want to disturb or destroy that. And so I was, really thinking about even the smaller garden that we had back in Graham. That size is relative. It's about, what is it that you have the capability to do and to maintain, and how do you optimize and work with what you have? And I think that, this garden that we will eventually grow and evolve and develop over time, it's going to be special the way our garden in Graham was. It's special like Christy's and yours, and all of us. This is truly a reflection of who we are. And so I don't want people to lose sight of that. And no matter what space you have, you can grow and have fun and find yourself and be grounded in really good food and really good things.
Yeah,
Well
like
said.
that. Yeah, the idea there too, and actually, and I'll throw this at you guys as well too, because we start the conversation with our question and everything. And I like what you said there about our gardens being a reflection of who we are, because that was our last week's question we presented on our round table is, what does your garden say about you? So if you were really to take a look at your garden space, I know it's a great question,
Right
right?
now,
So
chaos.
yeah, Chris, chaos. Tell us about it, Christy. What is it? What does your garden say about
Well,
chaos, right?
I used to be a very orderly gardener, but as I got busier and busier, I started to just kind of let seeds volunteer here and there. And
Yeah,
I wouldn't pull stuff out that wasn't in the right place, a weed,
right.
whatever. And
Yeah.
we have, when we do get rain, the yard is completely covered in a carpet of edible things: nasturtiums, stinging nettles, calendula, California poppies. Don't eat those. And a bunch of other stuff. It's just, we're walking around like storks in a salad to try and get over, all the places to get to where the beds are and that kind of thing. And all of that is starting to die back now. There's some New Zealand spinach out there. There's volunteer parsley and celery and blah, 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 everything, and,
Yes.
and I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's covering the soil. It's living mulch. It's great. And it's edible. And I'll, pick stuff out of there. So I've graduated, I want to say, to organized chaos and letting the garden pretty much run the show. And I just keep it in check when it gets out of hand. But, as I'm pruning things back and making space for new things, it's just nice to know that there's so much life going on out there that I didn't have control over, that it wasn't my, my husband gives me credit. He's like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm like, not my job. I didn't do it. Nature did that. She did that. So it's all there.
That just happened. Yeah, I love that. That was kind of what I was saying last week myself, though, too, is that if people were to walk through, and I'm sure many people who do walk through and see some of the things I've got growing in the different spaces, from the patio to the rooftop to along the alleyways and everything. And I just imagine most people would walk around and going, man, this guy's got a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
Right. How about you, Ashlie? What would your garden say about you?
Oh gosh. That's what it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Well,
like
we're
if it's
building
just
our
a stranger
house.
walking in and looking at your garden, you know what I mean? And they had to describe you by looking at your garden, what would they say?
They're going to look at the house that we're in the middle of building right up the way, and they're going to look at the garden and say, wow, you are a die-hard gardener. Like, how are you maintaining your garden and building a house at the same time? And even though this garden is it's our temporary garden, I think that they would say, like, it's pretty intentional, right?
Yeah.
We've got mulching and we've got, some plants in these, they're not raised beds. We didn't build raised beds, but we built like amended sections in the ground for plants to grow. And so they're going to see things like that and see probably that, wow, you're really trying to make this home officially, right? You're really putting down roots here.
There you go. Absolutely.
It's a good way of saying, like, I think I want to put down roots here. Whether you're going to stay there permanently or not, it's all up to you. But, we've invested a lot into this home and into this homestead. So we're going to stay there for a very long time. I'm not moving again.
That's right.
But I think that that's what someone would say is that, you really care about gardening. You really care about food. And it's like it's a haven in the midst of all the transitions that we're doing right now.
Man, that's just amazing. I love that. That's great. Real quick though, too, here before we get moving on today, let's just do a real quick round of, you guys have written books and given advice and everything, so let's just do a real quick, what would be a quick piece of advice you'd give somebody in the gardens, a new gardener or just someone out in the growing? What would be a good piece of advice you'd give them right now, Christy?
I would say, I go back to my earlier thing about giving it 3 years. I meet so many people. I'll get people started on gardening and they'll grow something and they'll be like, I failed. And then they stop gardening. And
I know.
Like, no, that's not how this works. So,
Exactly.
if you fail again, fail at
Yep.
least a few times before you give up on something that you're trying to grow. And, maybe something just doesn't want to grow in that yard or that space, but try it somewhere else, try a different variety of that thing and see if it works better the next time. Because I gave luxury pumpkins 3 years, and on the third year, I finally got it to give me a pumpkin,
Right.
but it's probably not a good variety for my neck of the woods. So keep trying, just keep trying, fail big and enjoy it. That's my
Fail
advice.
big and enjoy it. I love it. That's great. That's great. How about you, Ashlie?
Yeah, Chrissy, there's a saying that I like to think about, and I carry it into like research with me. Failure is an evidence that an effort was made.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
it means you tried, you did something. You can't, if you didn't do it, then you can't fail at something you didn't do. So I think that that's a wonderful advice. I would say, one thing it would be to take care of yourself the way you take care of your garden, and vice versa. The way you take care of yourself, take care of your garden. Oftentimes, we like to take care of other things, other people, other places.
What a good point.
And we do not take care of ourselves. And so there's a lot of things happening in our world right now. We are the gardens too. And so make sure that you're doing the weeding and the pruning and the nurturing and the feeding as we do our plants in our gardens.
Yeah.
Great
What
advice.
Absolutely. And kind of what you're ending with there too is, there is a lot of things going on, and our gardens are great sanctuaries and things that and Christy, you had mentioned that earlier, and we talked about the idea, our gardens are a great place to go to escape in a sense, and that sort of stuff, and a place for relief and all of that. And though we might get a lot of that from our garden spaces, one of the things we really do truly need is community. And something I've been talking about a lot about lately as well too, and a real big purpose of our show, and why why I go through the work of putting this together for us to gather here on the weekends and talk about what we love so much in gardening and everything, is a sense that we can build community here online. And we've talked about how that is one of the great assets of social media and all that sort of stuff, is connection in that sort of sense. But really, when it comes down to it, and this is something I'm talking more and more about, is that local community is really, I think, some of the things that's really the most beneficial to us. So, finding people out there. So if you're a new gardener or something like that, I would recommend really getting out and finding like a garden group or club or community garden where you're going to find some people who are gathering for the purpose of gardening and all of that, and reach out to them and get to learn gardening through some people you can find locally as well too, because we all need not just some good advice in a garden that's going to pertain to our spaces, but we also just need people in our lives that we can connect with who relate to us and our passions and the things that we really enjoy. So really, when it comes down to it, all of this stuff is just really, really great advice today. And real quick, before we do go though, I do want to ask each of you to let everybody know kind of what you got growing on right now. Again, I know you got your new book, Christy, and all of that, which is great. And maybe let us know about maybe any possible upcoming projects or anything that you might have as well too. So again, we'll start with you, Christy.
Yeah, sure. My new book is High Yield Small Space Organic Gardening, and it's all about growing vegetables in small spaces. I have other books too that you can find at gardennerd.com. And I am, I have the sequel to Garden Variety written. My agent is trying to find a home for it, so that's in the
Wonderful.
works. And I've also pitched a gardening show to PBS SoCal, so we'll see if that happens. I've got a couple more weeks to wait before I hear back from them.
We're only a couple of weeks on that. Oh, I remember you teased that on the show. So I'm like,
yeah, I finally submitted my proposal, and we'll see. I have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to hear back from them. So maybe we'll hear from them. That would be great.
That's TV I want to watch, Christy, right there.
Thank you. I hope they feel
TV
the same.
I want to watch.
Yeah.
Same. Let us know if we need to petition. We will do it.
That's right.
I appreciate that. Exactly. All right. Thanks so much.
Right on.
Well,
And how about for you, Ashley? What kind of things you got growing on there? I know you got the new home, you're getting all that stuff together, but you thinking about planning any projects or you things going on? Where can people catch
yes.
up
So
with you?
I am in the thick of my research. I'm starting my PhD program in the
Oh,
fall.
yeah.
I've kind of focused in on research around, of course, nutrition security and agriculture and the intersections of community health. So really tying in some of the work that I've been doing with the Mocha Gardener, but bringing that into my research. Thankfully, doing a lot of gardening and agriculture related work and environmental work in that program. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also working on a agri-tech project. I can't let everyone know too much information about it right now, but
Mhm.
hopefully it's really it's a project where I'm thinking of really supporting the people, right? And focusing in on our food systems. There are so many fractures and gaps in our food systems, getting people connected back to what is local, but also helping to educate them on principles of nutrition and what they feel they need in order to thrive, right, in terms
Yeah.
nutritionally. So, yeah, I'm excited about those things. I'm a researcher at heart. I've always been that, and yeah, I'm excited to kind of bring in this work in academia and my work in academia back out into the community.
Wow, that's wonderful. I really look forward to that. And hopefully down the road, we'll have you back on the show as Dr. Ashlie
Oh my
Thomas, right?
gosh,
And that'd be
that's so
awesome. That'd be awesome.
much time.
So great, so great. No, again, too, really wonderful advice and all of that too. Thank you both so much for, taking your time to be here today with us and have this just really wonderful conversation here on our Sunday show. And
Thank you.
absolutely. It's just so great. And again, everybody, like I said, I've got the garden variety, maybe part 2 coming out real soon, as was featured here for our book club here on our show, as well as Christy's new book. All these links to Christy's books, Ashley's books, their websites, all that sort of stuff are available for all of you right down below in the description. So make sure you go and get a copy of some of these wonderful books and enjoy what these wonderful authors have put together for us. Such great work and great conversation today. So thanks again very much for being here. And we look forward to possibly having you back again for another wonderful conversation here real soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. All right. You got it. Stick around. I'll see you in a minute. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Oh, I'm never going to get that down. I think we're just going to have to live with that, right? All right, everybody. Again, what another great, just lovely conversation with Christy Wilhelmi from Garden Nerd and the Mocha Gardener, Ashlie Thomas, joining with us today for just a great conversation about growing and gardening and new spaces and all that sort of stuff. Just love it so awesome. Again, thank you to them for joining with us. And as I said, we do have links down below to their website, social media, all of that. If I think there's some Instagrams down there, go and check out maybe one of their recent posts or something, and go let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. Thank you all so much for being here and all of that. Like I said, just a great conversation. And if you guys haven't, like I mentioned earlier, checked out our past shows, definitely go back and check out some of our previous shows, yesterday's Saturday show, the last week's show, and definitely make sure that you come and check out our show next week, next Saturday on the show. We're welcoming Jeremy Trotsky from Dirty Punk Gardening is going to join with us and talk all about his garden. And yeah, just gonna be great. I'm looking forward to this. Been trying to get Jeremy on the show for a little while now, so I'm looking forward to seeing him this next Saturday on the show, as well as for the Sunday edition of the show. Remember, last month we had to skip our appearance, our Ask Gardener Scott show on the second Sunday of the month, but Scott's back. He's coming back. He'll be back here next week, next Sunday on the show, and we're going to talk with him all about his recent trip to the UK and all of those wonderful gardens and gardeners he got to meet and all of that too. So we're going to have a lot to talk about with Gardener Scott, to catch up with what he had going on over there in the UK on his recent trip. So really looking forward to that this next Sunday. And as well too, again, on our Sunday edition, third Sunday of the month, we have our monthly gardening book club with our good friend Mr. NBC Mark Boucher Colbert joining us live for In the Garden and co-hosting the monthly gardening book club. And this month we're featuring the book The Food Forward Garden by Christian Douglas. This is just such a wonderful, just very photo forward book with just a lot of beautiful pictures, lots of great information on designing food gardens. If for those of you who like a good design or a good, nice looking garden and all of that, this book is really, really for you. So you'll definitely want to come and check out our third Sunday of the month garden book club show that we have planned. And this is going to be on Father's Day. So it'll be June 15th, the third Sunday, June 15th for the monthly gardening book club. So yeah, lots and lots going on there with shows coming up. We've got more and more coming up as well too. So you'll definitely, like I said, want to continue to stay tuned right here on the Urban Gardener channel and follow along with us here on the Let's Get Growing show every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. British Summer Time right now for all of you over in the UK. Thank you all so much for being here with us today for our show. And if you can, before you head out, definitely click that like button. Like I said, hit the thumbs up. And as well, click the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming shows and videos. As I told you all earlier, I got some great new videos for our the Urban Gardener Ultimate Pepper Growing series that we're doing this year, following along with all of my peppers throughout the whole growing year. So we've got some new videos of that coming up, as well as a garden journal coming up here, hopefully this Tuesday for you, to catch up and check out all of these great tomato varieties and things that we're planting out in our garden. So look forward to those videos coming up, and I look forward to seeing all of you as well too in the comment section of those videos. So definitely, if you're there checking out one of those videos, drop into those comment sections as well. Let me know you're checking out the videos. Let me know what you think of those as well too. Follow all of the descriptions down in our description of the show here. Again, for our guests, got some great links here. We had David today joining us for his premiere, Bowtie Life, joining us in the garden for our In the Garden segment. So thank you again, David, for contributing and putting the work together for that fun introductory video. We're looking forward to seeing your garden throughout the gardening season here on the Sunday edition. And find David's link to his channel as well down in the description. Channel links to Paul at Gooden Gardening and our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, all of our guests, all of our urban gardener links and all that sort of stuff, so you can find out all of the other things that we've got growing on. And again, everybody, such a wonderful show today. So awesome to hang out with all of you. Just really, really appreciate you guys taking your time to be here with us as well, too. And I really, really look forward to seeing all of you this next week. See you then.